Welcome to Wrapping Things Up, the podcast where we tie up the loose ends on all things packaging so you walk away with solutions. Coming up on today's episode. Hey guys, welcome to Wrapping Things Up. My name is Meredith Denning, and today I am here with Mr. Robert Barkley.
Hello.
How are you doing, Robert?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's so good to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Could you just give us a little background about your expertise, possibly how long you have been in the packaging industry?
Sure.
And a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I've been in the industry coming up on 13 years now.
Okay.
Started in multi-head weighing technology. So multi-head scales, check weighers, things like that. Viking was my main account during my time there. And then I joined Viking almost 6 years ago now. Started in what we call our primary packaging verticals, pre-made stickbacks, and then eventually started our flow wrapping division here in North America.
Wow, that's amazing. So you've seen all different areas of the industry.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive. Well, we're really excited to have you on the pod today. Today, we are going to be talking about measuring the true ROI of automation. And I would really love to start off our discussion with just a basic question of, in the packaging world, automation ROI is always a hot topic. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
But specifically this year in 2025, it seems to be next level.
Yeah.
In your opinion, why do you think that is?
I just think with a lot of things going on generally, interest rates, tariffs, things like that are going on, I think it's just being looked at a little bit closer than usual.
Yeah.
Honestly, during the COVID times, it was people were buying things just left and right.
Yeah.
Things were moving quickly. Projects were closing faster. It was a fun time. But I think during that time, people bought things that maybe they didn't always need, didn't plan correctly maybe. And now that's led to more stringent times of looking through stuff. Does this make sense? Does it make sense now in the future? And customers are just taking that time. And I think that's leading to them digging into the ROI of it and making sure, does this really make sense for our business?
That makes sense. What pressures would you say manufacturers are facing that are impacting automation investments?
Labor is a big one. Customer after customer we talk to, labor is always a main issue. Not always even just finding it, just they might hire 30 temp employees and 15 show up. Or even if they can find the labor, maybe it's not the most highest paid type of labor and they can't operate machinery or things like that, which is an effort we make to try to simplify it to help with that.
Sure.
But labor is a huge driver when it comes to that. Additionally, just interest rates and stuff like I mentioned a little bit ago that kind of all go into that.
Can you speak into possibly some of the upsides that automation takes care of? Specifically, you talked about labor. In my mind, some things like automation doesn't take PTO.
Yeah.
There's no sick leave. Nobody quits. Can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah. The reliability is definitely there, provided you get a quality piece of equipment and you maintain it correctly. Same as a car, right? You can buy a quality car and not quality car, and if you take care of it, it's going to do what it needs to do. There's PMs on it, just as there is with a vehicle. But versus labor, where sometimes you're not getting the most skilled labor that's out there, and they might take days off or unexpectedly take time. Like I mentioned, where people ask for temp employees and they show up or they don't show up. I've had one customer, major co-packing customer of ours, that mentioned that he'll be finding guys that are one time living on the subway and the next day they're running $1 million piece of equipment.
Wow.
So it's, finding that equipment that's ready and maybe more automatic requires less labor to run. It becomes a major part of that ROI, and more than just the dollars and cents of it costs X and my labor's Y. There's a lot more that goes into it than just that.
Yeah. What's changed in how buyers approach ROI compared to, say, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and so on?
A lot of it comes into the type of packaging, for one.
Okay.
So let's say somebody's hand packing right now and they're ready for that step into automation. They might not be thinking of, what's my cost of changing from a pre-made pouch or a pre-formed container to a roll stock? There's a lot of cost savings when it comes into changing to a roll of film versus an already pre-made pouch or container. Containers, especially if they're going from a rigid type and then into a flexible pouch, they don't always think of I need to ship air to get to my facility. They're bringing in all of these containers, and that's all it is. It's just containers. There's no product. There's no added value. Then they have to store it. Space is a huge cost for everybody, kind of no matter where you live. So they have to store all those containers before they can use them, before they can actually ship it out and make some money. If you change from the container to roll stock or even any pre-made pouch, just that simply, the amount of space that you save in shipping and storage is something a lot of people don't always think about. It might not be always the look that they want it to be on the shelf, but when it comes down to what makes business sense, that's part of the ROI that they should maybe take into account. When talking about the interest rates and such, there's a lot of people that maybe want to wait to buy the piece of equipment, and they're not thinking about how that might hurt the ROI by waiting. People thought with housing that, I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down. They haven't gone down. They're not going down anytime soon. It seems that way at least. So does it make sense to wait to get that piece of equipment or start it now so I can begin getting that money back? Mm-hmm. Because it may be hard to look into the future and understand that. Obviously, everything runs on the money that you can put into it, but you got to think a little bit more forward of how quickly can I start getting my money back, even if that investment might hurt a little bit up front.
Yeah, and be a little scary to take that leap of faith to go into it.
Yeah, and it's a big decision. That's qualifying, who you're looking at, what they provide, and not just the equipment. What's the company going to do for me after it's installed? That
partnership.
Yeah, and that's something we take really seriously here is that partnership, how we take care of them after it's in the plant. Once we leave, you want it to run. Mm-hmm. And that isn't always the case. So we try to make sure that happens.
Breaking down ROI a little bit further. What are the top ROI drivers currently?
One's going to be cost of machine. It's the simplest of how it can get. My machine, just to make math simple, $100,000. Mm-hmm. And I pay my employees $25,000 a year to run it. I know that's not good math, but just to make it simple, 4 years to have that make sense. I'm replacing that $25,000 with an automated piece of equipment. So that's the simplest of it. But we even have a calculator on our website that really helps break a lot of it down. And our team is very well versed in helping our customers kind of understand all the different things that can go into it. Like I mentioned, your consumables, even the printer. If you're going from a label to a printer, what that saves. It seems small, but we're talking of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of pieces a year. Yeah. That starts to add up very, very quickly. We had one customer very recently we worked with that we went from their piece of or the product, the film, going from 11 inches just down to 9. Mm-hmm. And they do that across 10 different lanes. And all of a sudden, that starts to make a lot of sense of how much money it made sense for them to upgrade to a nicer piece of equipment just with that small change. Right. And it paid for itself within 2 years. And that's one of those things that not everybody thinks about, those little things. And that's stuff that we can help with. Yeah.
You briefly mentioned the ROI calculator that we use. Mm-hmm. How do you actually go about calculating ROI on an automation project, and is using that tool very helpful for you?
It is. There's a lot of things that you can put into it. Mm-hmm. It's only going to give out as much as you put in. A lot of customers are hesitant to share some of that information, their cost of their materials or what they pay their labor. And maybe it's their wage, but what are you giving them in benefits? What are you paying for insurance? Are you paying for insurance? Is there anything else you're providing? You mentioned the PTO and stuff before. That's something that has to be considered. Okay, they're getting 2 or 3 weeks off a year when that machine could just be working for those 2 to 3 weeks per year. So there's a lot of items that can go into that calculator that might not be fully listed. But again, that's where our team comes into play and be like, okay, here's a really good starting point. How does this look? Mm-hmm. Is it what you want? Is it 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? What are you trying to get to? What's your target? And let's see how we continue to pare that down and get to that by thinking of all the other things that maybe you're not totally considering.
Gotcha. Would you say that there is a certain formula or a perfect mathematical equation when trying to calculate ROI?
Of course there is.
Perfect.
No, I'm kidding. It's really dependent on application, on the customer, where they're located even. There could be different tax breaks and different things that they use that's provided to them or isn't provided to them based on where they're located. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into it. So no, there's not a perfect formula. Again, that's where kind of our expertise helps. And we have a lot of team members that have been doing this for quite a while and understand what to look for. And we have engineering resources that can help us figure it out. And even our CFO gets involved at times to help understand it. So a perfect formula, no. Just like, is there a perfect machine?
Right.
Probably not. Right. But, it's trying to make that machine become perfect for you and what it fits.
Gotcha. What would you say is the amount of time that it would take for someone to get their ROI when it comes to purchasing a machine?
I've heard so many different answers. I've heard people be like, I want to pay me back in 6 months.
Okay.
Is that realistic? Probably not.
Can it be?
It can be.
Okay.
Absolutely. One thing that kind of goes into what they're not thinking about with the ROI, what's that next contract that you might not get because you don't have the capability? I've had probably two or three customers now that have told me their success stories of kind of, if you build it, they will come.
Okay.
Somebody found out they have a piece of equipment. It has time within the week to run, and they get contracts because of that. So I've had people be like, hey, we got this project. It's a contract. It's great. ROI is 2-3 years. That's probably the most common to answer your question. 5 is probably the top part of that.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden they get some huge contract from a Costco or Walmart or any of those guys and pays itself in just a couple of months.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. We're part of the CPA group, and we were the first equipment manufacturer to be part of that. We've learned a lot about our co-packing partners and what that means. So not only have we designed our equipment to fit that, but we've also found ways to work with those type of customers, which going from a co-packer to a manufacturer, we learn a lot of those items to then be like, hey, have you ever considered co-packing?
Yeah.
Because even if this won't run 5 days a week, you might be able to fill the other day or two by helping somebody else out that's trying to get into automation.
Right. Considering all the variables, how do you walk customers through ROI calculations and help them apply it to their situation?
It's kind of like we've been saying with the calculator to start.
Okay.
Starting with that base, what's your budget? If you had to stretch it, if you had to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get car salesy about it, but it's kind of one of those things where everybody has this dream budget, right? And this dream output, and those don't always align. So it's trying to find that balance of like where that ROI really comes into play and where it fits the type of equipment you're looking for.
Yeah.
And think about the future. Like, what does this fit now? And does it fit me in the future? It might be great right now, and it does what I need, but am I going to outgrow it in a year?
Yeah.
And if I get that contract, like I just mentioned, can I do that?
Yeah.
And am I costing my business more money by not having that piece of equipment that might have just that little bit of extra room?
What should leaders, I think you kind of tapped into this, but I would love to keep going with it. What should leaders be cautious of when calculating ROI? Like, what are the main things they need to be keeping at the front of mind?
Yeah. Quality of equipment, for sure. There's different price points out there, right? And everybody's got a budget. That's a big part of it. And I completely understand that. We completely understand that. But then it comes down to, okay, I paid X for my machine. But what's it going to cost me the next year or the year after? Like, people are like, oh, I want to buy some really cool car. Cost me $80,000 to buy this car. Great.
Right.
Now what's it cost to maintain that piece of equipment? Versus what if I bought some other piece of car and what's it cost to maintain that equipment? So it's a little bit the opposite way when it comes to equipment than cars. Buy a more expensive car, it costs more to take care of usually.
Yeah.
With packaging, at least with our equipment, it might be a little bit more expensive, but it's not going to cost as much to maintain. So it's kind of hard for customers to, when they've been thinking their whole lives, it's more expensive, it's going to be more money to take care of. That's not always the way with packaging. And understanding what the equipment provider you're working with and what they offer after sale is really important. Do they have free phone service to help you out if something happens? Will they FaceTime you if something goes down and be like, hey, here it is. Can they log in remotely and help you out? Are they close to you? Do they have technicians throughout the nation to help you really quickly? All of those resources are things that aren't always taken into consideration, and it's usually very black and white. It costs this, I have this, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's so much more that goes into it that it's trying to portray that message to your customers and have them understand that. That's the difficult part.
Yeah, that's good. That's important. What would you say are the biggest misconceptions about automation ROI?
The fact that it's quick. It's not always that way. And again, going back to what I just said, cost this, here's my budget, and I pay my employees this amount, and that's what's going to replace. It's so much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be simple, and it is if you know what to look for, right? Same as anything. Once you've done it a couple of times, it all makes sense. But we work with a lot of customers that either this is their first time getting an automation, or they kind of have automation, now they're expanding it to add something more. Maybe they're already automating stuff in a bag, but now they want to automate it into a carton or a case or palletize. all of those things, as you create more automation, that price tag goes up. And it becomes scary, right?
Right.
You get that sticker shock, like, oh, I want to go get this car and I want the leather seats.
Right.
I want the climate control. All of a sudden you see the price, you're like, oh, I can't do that.
You're like,
but
sure.
Yeah, exactly. But then all of a sudden you start diving into it. You look at the payments. You look at the different options of things to make it happen. And you're like, okay, I can make this work because it's something you want.
Right.
If you go around that the same way with packaging automation or even like you do with a house, like I could stretch it a little bit because this has what I need for a long time. It's an investment. It's not something that you're buying to just use for that little bit of time and get rid of, at least most of the time. Maybe somebody does out there. But usually you're buying this equipment to last you a long time.
Right.
So that's where that common misconception of like, I just need to buy something that fits my budget and that's it. I'm not considering anything else.
Yeah.
That's probably where I've seen some people kind of fall into that. And then maybe a year or two later, they're calling us being like, hey, I maybe made a mistake or I'm ready to step up to something that's going to last me a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's safe to assume that with a high quality product, in my mind, I go to, oh, that's going to be dependable for a long time. And I feel, or I would think that our customers would desire that over something quick and fast, but trying to maybe get them there to understand that and have that partnership of understanding and maybe advice and leading is really important.
Yeah. And even just that beginning part of explaining that information, there's a value to that too. You're not going to get that with every other equipment provider.
True.
And I think that speaks for itself when somebody's, at least if I was out there looking for something, again, I always go back to cars because everybody can relate to that, right?
Right.
And I do
It's a good
sell
example.
Cars. Yeah. So you go back to it and it's like, if I go to somebody that can tell me everything about this car and how it's going to be good for me versus the guy's like, oh, here's the keys, go tell me if you like it. It's a totally different experience.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to trust the person that knows and is the expert versus somebody that's like, oh, yeah, it can do this for you. You want to buy it? There's a lot of difference there.
Yeah, that's a great example. Do you have any stories that come to mind where a customer reached ROI goals faster than expected or possibly the opposite where it was slower than expected?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
I kind of mentioned one earlier where they got the contracts and boom, paid for itself right away. There was one specifically I can really think of where they bought a simplex machine, so that just does one pouch at a time. And all of a sudden they got a big contract 3 or 4 months after they bought the machine, got it installed and running, that they're like, I don't have enough production because I've just got this huge contract that came my way. My product has exploded. It's super popular. People love it, which is a great thing, but also comes with its own issues. So they're like, I need something faster and I need it now. And we're like, we have one. It does double the output, and we get it to you right away, and we'll swap it out for you. And that's obviously there was a cost difference there, but that's the benefit to what we provide, where we have we can grow with the customer.
Yeah.
And if they start here, we can always continue to move up. And if they need the next thing and it's pretty quick, it will get them into that next thing and get it moving.
Yeah.
As far as taking longer, definitely seen that. I've seen customers where maybe a competitor overpromised a lead time or overpromised some sort of issue, and it didn't quite do what they needed, and maybe they lost a contract. Maybe they didn't perform like they wanted, and they're like, now I'm going to lose business because of this. Or maybe they didn't go with the high-quality piece of equipment, and it's not performing like they needed to.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they come and they're like, hey, I need this now because what I bought isn't doing what I needed to, so I need something better.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But so that's why it's really important to do that research and do that homework. As painful as it might be, there's a really good saying that, slow is steady, steady is fast, that you need to slow down and take the time to really evaluate what the right decision is before you make that step. It's a big investment for anybody.
Right.
Whether you're buying a $100,000 piece of equipment or a $10 million piece of equipment, it's going to be big.
Right.
So you got to take the time to do your research before just being like, yeah, that one.
That's really good. That actually leads into my next question perfectly in maybe some lessons learned and possibly some advice that you could offer. What's the advantage of buying for today's needs versus buying for tomorrow's growth?
It's a really good question. Again, budget comes into play. But thinking about tomorrow's growth, you might not understand what your equipment's red line is. Right. Again, going back to cars, I need to drive it on 45 miles per hour, but it can always go faster, right? So same thing with equipment. So I need to run 60 bags a minute, but What happens all of a sudden I need my production to go up? I don't want to buy something that can only do 60 a minute.
Right.
Maybe I need 80 or 100. Can this same piece of equipment do that? Do I need to upgrade? And is that upgrade a lot of money, a little bit of money?
Right.
What does that look like? And that's something where, our team helps figure that out.
Yeah.
It's actually one of our questions we always have for our customers is, what are you doing now? What's in your plant currently? Do you have equipment? Do you not? Where do you want to be?
Right.
Where do you need to be? Those are two different things.
Prepping for the latter.
Yeah. What do you need? Okay, we need 30. Where do you want to be? 45.
Right.
Great. This equipment can do it, or it can't. Here's what the price of the next one is. Those type of things of understanding where you want to be, like thinking 3 years, 5 years in advance,
Right.
and if this equipment can handle it, should definitely be part of the decision.
Right. What's the cost of waiting to automate?
That goes back to missing those projects.
Yeah.
Or going back to, I'm waiting to buy a house because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea. It can cost your business by having that analysis paralysis. I keep saying to take your time, but
Yeah.
there's also a limit to that too.
Yeah.
You don't want to be caught looking at every provider on the planet and then getting down to 10 and then 5 and then 3. And that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But you don't want to take too long with it that you miss an opportunity that could have got your business some money.
Yeah, fair.
You get a customer that comes around that's like, I love this. I want this in 50 of my stores. Can you get it to me in 6 months?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I could have if I made the decision a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And now you can't meet that. So that's really the hurt with it. Or maybe something changes and rates go up. They can always go down, but here's the benefit of going down. You can refinance. I mean, you can do it. That's the benefit, but you're never going to get hurt by it going up,
Yeah.
right? You're going to be locked in.
Yeah. What questions should manufacturers be asking themselves before they pull the trigger, before they purchase their machine?
Am I ready for it? We've had customers kind of in both directions. Ones that had been ready for a long time, and if they simply asked that earlier, they would have been ahead of the game.
Sure.
We've also had some to be like, they pull the trigger and they're not ready for it. Maybe they don't have the right personnel. But running a piece of equipment, as I mentioned, we try to simplify it as much as we
Right.
can. It still requires somebody that kind of knows what's going on. It's not quite to the point where if you can work an iPhone, you can work a piece of equipment. We're trying to get there.
Yeah.
But there's still some parts to it that operation is one thing and maintenance is a totally different one. So where you want to have the type of personnel that can handle that type of equipment and run it effectively, last thing you want is we show up, we get it installed, we get it running, everything's great. You're like, this is awesome. I'm so happy I did
Yeah.
this. And then we leave, and a week later, you can't run the thing. You got to have the right personnel to do it. So you got to ask, am I ready for it that way? Am I ready for it space-wise? Am I ready for it utility-wise? Am I ready for it? There's a few different things that can go into it. And again, we can
Yeah.
help with that. We ask a lot of those questions.
Right.
Like, what's your electricity in your building? That's an important thing. Can the equipment run on that electricity, or can you have a transformer to fix it?
Yeah.
Do you have the right air compressor to be able to run it?
Yeah.
So all those things kind of go into it. And again, we help, but they should be asking if they're ready for it, space-wise, personnel-wise.
Yeah.
And if not, I've got X amount of months till the piece of equipment's here. What do I need to get in place before it arrives?
Right. You kind of tapped into my next question, so we can kind of keep going with that. How can companies accelerate ROI?
Being ready for it, like you just said.
I was going to say, you kind of just tapped into facility prep, training,
Yep.
all those sorts of things.
And be willing to kind of listen to what we have to offer. There's times where we have recommendations. We've been doing this a lot. Now, we might not know your product as well as you do. It's your product. You run it day in, day
Right.
out. You created it. That's your baby. The equipment's ours.
Right.
Like, let us show you how to handle it and how to run it and take that feedback and understand it. There's so many times we've had customers where we work with and we're like, hey, we really think this is the way it should be done and how to handle it.
Right.
And they're like, nope, I know what I'm doing. It doesn't always work out. Maybe it does.
Yeah.
But being able to take that advice and understand it and let us help you.
Yeah.
It's only going to be good for everybody if we just help each other.
Yeah, just find the middle ground.
Yeah. There's no point in us telling you things that aren't going to help.
Of course.
So trying to work together and find that and really be a partner in it,
Yeah.
that's what's going to be the most success when it comes to it.
That's good. Based on your experience, what 2 or 3 ROI related tips would you give packaging equipment or automation newbies?
Homework, like I mentioned this whole time, take the time to figure it out. AI is a great tool. And when
Yeah.
we use it, everybody uses it.
Yep.
That's a good way to get a quick rundown of some stuff that's available to you.
Yeah, that's great.
And what to look for. Then take that information and start reaching out to a few different companies. Start to see what they have to offer, see what's different. That's always, kind of that, give me your elevator pitch, what's different type thing. But dive into it a little bit more. Give people the opportunity to tell you what's truly different about it. And not just the equipment, what's different about their company, what's different about after the sale, what's different about their culture. Is it somebody you want to do business with? That's a very important part when it comes to it. When you're making a large business decision that's going to impact your company, especially people that are just getting into automation.
Right.
Is this someone that you want to work with? Is this someone that, for the next 5-10 years, you want to hitch your wagon to and be like, hey, they've got me. They've got my back.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be those type of items to really go through and understand, does this make sense for my company? And does it make sense to work with that company for my company?
Yeah. Well, as we're wrapping up the episode, I would love to do a quick recap question.
Yeah.
What should our listeners take with them from this discussion of true ROI of automation?
Take your time. Talk it through with your team. Talk it through with the different companies' teams. Get to meet them. Don't just talk to them on the phone. Maybe take a visit to their plant. Understand what they have to offer. Have them visit your plant. See what you have to offer. And just spend the time to find that partner. Because it's more than just a transaction of I buy a cup and now I use my cup.
Yeah.
It's much more than that. It comes with running the equipment. It comes with long-term. If you buy a car, that's not usually a decision people make quickly. Where they're like, I just want that car. It's like, no, I want this car because I'm going to have it for quite a few years. Or I'm going to buy that house because it has what I want and what I need in my house. Yeah. Not just because I'm going to buy a house. Like, it's pretty rare that happens. So if people take the time as they would in their personal lives and apply that to the business acumen of it, I think that's going to make a big difference. And they're going to kind of see the value that providers like Viking Mesa can give them, where it's like, we're people. And we're going to work with you like you're people.
Right.
And we're going to make this work. We're going to be partners. And just try to find that. Just try to find a partner you want to hitch your wagon to and do business with.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
It was really fun. And I'm just grateful that you were able to give us a reality check on what automation ROI really looks like. Shameless plug, but we're really excited about it. Pack Expo Las Vegas is happening at the end of September. We will be there. Viking Mesa will be showing off their rebranded and newly designed booth. Our booth number is 3454. If you guys want to come out and see packaging that pays off, come and check out our booth. It's going to be really fun. We're going to have all of our machines there, a fully integrated line. It's going to be awesome.
Flow wrapping gold bars.
Yes. It's going to be an amazing time. If you guys need to see any more information or you'd like to look into any more information on that, you can check it out at our website, vikingmesa.com. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Wrapping Things Up. Make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Stay up to date by checking out Viking Mesa on social media. Thanks for watching.